Okay, we are getting live. Uh, okay. Okay, so today we are doing something different. I'm going one platform at a time. Hey, it's Saint-Cyr, your account with diverse community partners. Let's see. Thank you for joining. Hey, Ashley, thank you for joining. Today, we're going to talk about getting a tax refund. This is Joyce Saint-Cyr, your accountant with diverse community partners. Thank you for your time. Have a good one. Thank you for joining. Give me a thumbs up or tap the screen as you're coming in. I just want to take a minute or so, tap the screen, share some love. I want to talk about, are you getting a tax refund? So many people come in and say, am I getting a refund? So today I want to talk about, what does that mean? What are you thinking? What are the opportunities you have in regards to that? Thank you for joining. So I want to just go in because I want to give some insight. So whether we all have to pay taxes, okay? So it's not something that we should be saying, okay, I'm not interested. I know I'm not jumping up and down and I'm not selling widgets, but at the end of the day, it's November 6th. We're coming to the end of the fiscal year and we're all going to pay taxes, right? So I wanted to talk about when people come in and we get a new client, even maybe a few of our existing clients. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. And I want you to come in if you can, tap the screen. If you have any questions, put it in. This week we're doing a little different. We're going live first on TikTok, and then we're going to jump over at 1:15 to Facebook. So if you have some questions or something you're not sure in, just jump in. But I'll just say tap the screen. So before I start, let's say a question that you never ask a person who's going to do your tax return. Hold on. Never go to a person and say, how much money are you getting me back? Because there are so many people out there preparing tax returns and are not meeting the requirements, and they are doing their tax return and they're going basically of you saying, I'm looking for a refund. So I want to give everybody a quick tip today on how to see what's going to be their 2024 tax outcome. So I want to get my calendar over here because every year we give out calendars to our clients and the community with some great tips. And every year we put in the tax rate. So I want to bring up the tax rate and we could talk about it. So everybody could do it. Look at your last pay stub. If you have a business, look at your profit and loss statement. While I'm bringing this up, I would just say, so we have it here. We're preparing our 2025. It gives the rates so people could see. Okay. So how many people, if you're W-2, type in W-2 in the comment. Type W-2. If you're just a W-2, type W-2. W-2, type W-2. If you're a W-2. If you have a business, put B-I-Z. If you have a business, put B-I-Z. And then I'm going to give you guidance of what we could do. Go ahead. So if you're a W-2 and we're talking about, are you getting a refund? Are you going to owe and why? Okay, that's what we're going to go into today. So if you're a W-2, type in W-2. And if you are a business, type B-I-Z. Just so I can see. Okay? Now, we all just got a paycheck from the end of October. Maybe we're getting one that's coming. You could log in. So even if you don't have your pay stub, this is what I would like you to do. A few years back, the government changed and people said, I don't see my refund being the same. It depends. If you are a W 2 and you have no business or rental properties or different investments, it is what it is. So the government said you should break even, and technically you should break even at the end of the year. And if you owe or you're getting a refund, if you're getting a refund, the government's had your money tax free, no interest bearing, and if you owe, they're going to ding you and say, well, you should have paid it on time, right? So there's different categories. So it's either if you're single or if you're married, or if you're married filing separate, it's like you're single. So you miss out on that joint deduction, right? So I'm going to do quick and dirty, and then I'll go into the real way. Quick and dirty, and times it by 10%. Whatever your gross income is, times it by 10% and see, did they take out the federal income out of your check enough, right? So a lot of people, depending on your income, they're between really 10 and 22, the average taxpayer, right? And we have a lot that's in 24 and up. But if you're between the 10 and 22 bracket, I said I'm going to break out the different things, but just quick and dirty, you do your gross income times 10% and tell me that if your federal deduction matches that amount. If it's significantly lower, you could say, oh man, I'm going to owe. And then you take the gross amount and times it by your state rate. So like in North Carolina, the rate is 5.25. So you take that amount times 5.25 and look to see, did that amount come out your state? Okay. If you have a discrepancy, the government says, if you have more than one job, more than one W-2, then you need to add up your projected income. So when people are saying they're not getting the refund or they're owing and they're owing much more, that's because you didn't do the calculator. And this changed a few years back when people had to go to their job and change. People are still doing married 1, married 2, married 0. And you technically, that's not the process anymore. But because the average person understands that, we still guide and say, go do married 0 with an extra, or go do single 0, or, head of household, just do single 3, whatever it is. Because that makes it easier for the average person to follow, right? So the key really is really understanding that it changed. And if you understand that it changed, then you know how to plan. So instead of waiting to the end of the year, and I know we're in November, this is how you can see, are you getting a refund or are you going to owe? And if you're filing joint, that means you have to look at your W-2 and your spouse's W-2. So if anyone has any direct questions, feel free to put it in the comment. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Okay, but if you want to see, in this two of you and you're filing joint, you want to add both of your W-2s. Now I was saying, if you're a W-2, type in W-2. If you have a business, type in B-I-Z in the comment. Type in B-I-Z, B-I-Z, or W-2. And then I could give you a little bit more direct information if you have a W-2. So if you have children, and we're going to come into that, if you have children, then that's going to impact or what's needed. So now I said that was the high level of taking your W-2 amount, times it by 10%, comparing it. Okay, Biz, thank you. Thank you so much. So we have one business owner. So I'm going to talk about what you need to do to see where you are. Thank you so much. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow.
Thank you for your time. Have a good one.
Anybody else is W-2 or Biz. If you have a business, B-I-Z. If you have both, type in both. Type in both, because then we need to explain that. If you have a business, type in B-I-Z. Lee, thank you so much. If you have a W-2, type in W-2. And if you have both, type in both, right? Thank you for joining.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Have
you
a
for
good one.
joining. Now, so if you want to expand as a business owner, okay, the rule says you are supposed to have the records to show the money spent and received. I find a lot of people are just saying, I keep track on my bank statement, I keep track on a piece of paper, and that's not the rule. And if we see the streets are hot with the IRS right now, they are coming. They told us 4 years ago that we're going to see a lot of audits. And they said, if you're not busy, don't worry, wait to 4 more years because there's going to be so many audits coming, even for W 2s, not just business owners, W 2 people as well. Okay? And they're going to say, let me see what you're doing and why do you owe? Because if you owe 3 years in a row, they're going to give you a ding and then see why you owing and why you not using the calculator that's on the irs.gov to estimate how much taxes should come out your check. Now, if you're a business owner who doesn't have payroll, then you need to take. Thank you for joining. How you, lady? How you doing?
Thank you for your time. Have a good
If
one.
you have a business and you're supposed to take the profit and loss statement, don't tell me that I do a spreadsheet and that's what I give my person. That is not the way. And they are coming for people who are not doing it based upon the rule of what's required. But let's say you have a P&L and the net is $10,000, okay? Technically, it's 10,000, and let's say you're single, okay? Then you have the standard deduction. Let me put that right here. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's look at 2024 standard deduction amount. Okay, if you're single, so it's 10,000 and the government says automatically when we calculate how much money you owe in taxes, we're going to allow you to deduct 14,600. Well, guess what? Somebody made $10,000. They reduce it by 14. There's nothing there because they didn't even make 14,000, right? So guess what? They don't owe, right? However, that's overall. If you are self-employed as a Schedule C, because it goes really complicated, so I'm just going to go with Schedule Cs. If there's an S corp or a C corp or partnership in here, you could stop me and drop your question. Then you will be subjected to 7.65% self-employment tax. Okay, but there's the adjusted gross income is going to come to zero, but you're going to have the self-employment tax that's due for the monies that you earn. Make sense? So again, if you're W-2, type in W-2. If you have a business, type in BIZ. If you have both, put both. Okay? And listen, if you think about it, right? S corps, you're both. You're getting a W-2 and you're getting income for your business. So you're kind of both because you're getting a W-2 and you have your business. So if you're both, type in both, that you get a W-2 and you have a business at the end, right? So the key really is that you need to do projections. Like this whole week, all I'm doing is projections. I'm looking to see what people have made up to October, estimating what I think it's going to be at the end of the year, compare it to the tax brackets of their income. So earlier, when we first started, I just came out plain and simple and said, take the amount of monies that you made, times it by 10%, and that's how much money should have come off your W-2 or if you made quarterly taxes. Now, that's not taking in consideration the standard deduction, okay? So I want everyone to really just take this time. We talked about it in the last live. This is my family, just so people can see. This is my family over here and over here, okay? So every year we do these calendars with great tips. So if you are in the Charlotte metro area, you could reach out and come by the office and pick one. If you're not, You could send us your information. Every year we do a calendar and we include a book. I don't know if I have a book here. I'm so excited about it. Let me do a sneak tip for 25. This is 25. 2025. So I'm doing my last audit. Okay? And 2025 will have the 2024 tax rate. So let me show you. Okay? Here goes the tax rate. Every year we put it in the calendar. Why? Because we want people to be aware of what they're going to be subjected to and the tax level. Okay? So if you want a copy of our 2025, not only is that, it's so many great tips that's in here that we talk about different things that affect you. Okay, so this is you're the first to see the 2025. So exciting. You're getting insider information. Okay, but it has different things that you need to know. Why? I truly believe. I said it 4 years ago, and then after the past couple of years, I didn't think it was going to happen. Brace yourself. 2025 is going to be the year of the audit. So be mindful of who you're picking up to help you with your individual taxes and your business taxes, because there are a lot of people out here who are jumping around being tax professional. And, sadly, just like registering a business, anybody could just register and get a P10 and start doing taxes, buy software and do it. We recently got a client that all her tax returns said self-employed, self-prepared, but she was actually paying someone. And this is someone who was using a software over and over and over again, pumping out the tax returns and just doing some interesting thing. So as I started in the beginning is definitely don't go to someone and say, how much money are you going to get back from me? What you should say is, can you find the best opportunity for me and my circumstances? If you're a W-2 and you have no property and you don't own your house or you don't have a business, it is what it is. It's not any surprise Einstein. If someone tells me they have a W-2 and my person was able to get me $20,000, I'm like, let me see the return, right? Because the average taxpayer is not looking to give more monies on their paycheck. They're looking to put more money in their pocket. So every time they process payroll, they need more money. Okay? Thank you for joining.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining. So therefore, is it logical? And what I saw is that these preparers are putting in a fake business with a loss for them to get more money. Okay? You got to be careful of that, because when you sign off, people say, well, isn't my tax preparer going to get in trouble? Yes and no. Because guess what? It is your responsibility to know what they're doing. And people say, I don't understand taxes. That's why I'm paying someone. If I understood, I would do it myself, right? Okay, I get that. But you should say to them, what does this mean? So we like to give like a basic, high level, this is the situation. Now, as complex as your circumstances are, might entail additional conversation. Now, clients who's been with us for 5-6 years, I usually send an email. I say, here's all the things. Here are things to consider. Here are things that I believe are missing. Do you have them? Yes or no? And that's it. And say everything is good. This is everything I picked up. Do you agree? They say approve, sign off, and send it back. It's really just brand new clients because they never really had anyone who helped educate them. So they didn't understand. So even when I start off with a client, I got to find out from my girl how to do a screen share. But the IRS developed this form called the intake form, right? And anybody that you go to do your taxes, it is required that we ask the slew of questions, right? Me, I'm not going to sit down with each individual. I know there's places out there you sit there and Mary's sitting there saying, what's your name? What's your social? Let me see your ID. No, that to me is not the best use of your time and my time. I send you the form that the IRS created. Why create the wheel when the regulatory agency created it for me? I give you the form. I say fill it out. Bring me your ID, and there's some other things that I ask, and we'll have a discussion. And I note it because there are questions they're supposed to ask. If you're a W-2, there's a no-brainer. If you owe, as I shared earlier, you did not put your, lack of a better description, exemptions correctly at your job. So you need to log into your portal and fix that. Now, I saw someone recently that actually put themselves as exempt. I was stunned because the government really goes after employers for allowing someone to put themselves exempt. And most of the time, people who are exempt are students, okay? But this was a person of my age getting a check with exempt, and nothing was coming out their check. I was like, this is why you owe at the end of the year, right? Now, as a business owner, again, you still fall under the same schedule, okay, of the income bracket of the 10. And, while I have this open, let's compare. So, okay, so it went up $600. 2023, the 10% bracket, when I was saying, was 11,000. For 2024, the 10% is 0 to 11,600. So same scenario, if you made 10,000, technically it would be 10,000 times 10%. But remember, you're allowed to take away the standard deduction. So if you made 10,000 and the standard deduction is 14,600 and you have a W-2, you're going to get all the money that came out your check back, and there goes your refund. So when someone says, oh my God, my person got me $3,000 back, $5,000 back, $10,000 back, well, you're going to get it back regardless, okay? Now, of course, my favorite term is always to say there's a but. And what's the but? The but is, do you have children? Are you head of household? Are you separated? So again, I'm giving blanket responses. That's going to be general, but just to be mindful, things change. So if you have a question or if you're curious about something, put it in the chat and let's see. If you're shy to putting in the chat and text TikTok, we're going live at 1:15 on Facebook because we have a different group on Facebook. You can ask your questions there. So I do thank you for joining us here at TikTok. But we're also going to be on Facebook Live as well. So we are live every other Wednesday. We were on Friday, or we were asked by people to change it for lunchtime on Wednesdays. So you let me know how that goes for you. For me, I just want to be able to share and provide some guidance because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I always tell people, I will tell you the technical rule, and then we'll talk about real world. And real world means, how do I put this together? So since only one person put in biz, let me go a little bit more in for her since she actually shared and said she has a business. So the key really is, it also depends on type of business. Let's say it was a hairstylist, okay, and they are managing their income. Do you know right before COVID, they were coming after barbers and hairstylists? Why? Cash tips. They were not reporting it. So even when we do your tax return, we split your income between regular and tips for them to know that we know the rule, right? But let's say if you're a consultant and you're selling your services, or you're a coach and you're selling coaching services, it's all services, then you're going to do the same thing. The thing is, instead of a W-2 of them mandatory taking the money out, the government says depending on how much money you're making, then quarterly you're going to make some payments, right? So the key is you need to really be mindful of where you are. If you are a Schedule C. Now, if you are a S Corp, and again, jump in if you want to tell me if you're a Schedule C or S Corp or a partnership, It is mandatory as an S corp that you be on payroll. So yesterday I was speaking to someone who's a C corp and told me I don't want to pay for payroll because we're not making any money. I said that's not your decision. The rule said this is a rule that's mandatory. Approximately a year and a half ago, I had to make the business decision of letting go some clients because they refused to meet this rule, and there's a penalty on me of $10,000 or more. And I was like, I'm not going to pay $10,000 because you don't want to pay a small amount every month for having payroll, right? But just understand, if you have a business, you need to look collectively. What is the business making? I did a projection today. Someone who has a W-2, has two businesses, okay? One is very profitable, one is losing a lot of money. And then to see that at the end of the year, I projected with a big refund. And why? Because one of the businesses is a partnership. Now, if it was a S corp, there's a little tweak. If it was losing money, that would impact. Can you benefit from that loss? And sometimes people come and say, I had a loss, I should definitely get a refund. Who said? That it depends. There's a criteria that will dictate that. But let's say that people will tell me, I have a business and I lost money, I should get a refund. So my next question is, did you pay anything into the system? No. So what is the government giving you? Even if they had kids and they wanted to get the earned income credit and they had a loss, do you know why they're not getting the earned income credit? Because you have to at least have earned $1. So that's why even for us it says, did you calculate that credit properly? Because you know what some people are doing out there? When it shows that you have a loss, they automatically go put that you earned $300-$400, and then what they do is now you've got the earned income credit. That's what they do. Now you have to be careful, because if you don't have records to support that, then that's fraud, right? And if we think about just in the past 2 weeks, even though it's kind of off of the topic of the refund, it's 4 years later of people with the PPP and they're arresting them. So lying about making money to get this credit is technically fraud. Okay? So just be mindful of that, because people will maneuver your returns because you said to them, how good are you? Are you going to get me a refund? And that doesn't define how qualified an accountant or a tax preparer is. And you notice I said accountant and tax preparer, and there's a difference, okay? I'm an accountant. Of course, I prepare taxes and everything else. I went to school. I have a formal education. I went in and I worked for Ernst & Young. I worked for regional firms, right? Tax preparers there are times, not everyone, that Joe woke up, was working. Let's say I had somebody working for me and they were like, oh my God, I know what to do because I followed Miss Joyce and what she's doing. And now I'm going to go and prepare taxes. And they get their P10 and then they start preparing taxes. So guess what? Are they keeping themselves abreast to the changes? Are they doing trainings? Today I signed up for 6 trainings. Okay? Why? Because it's important that I continuously educate myself on things that's changing. I mean, we're getting a new administration. So buckle up, everybody, because we're going to get some changes. Okay? It's going to change businesses. You know, they claim that, this administrator said that they're going to stop taxes on tips. And I like to see that. Okay? I really do, because when I said that doesn't make sense, somebody said, why? And I said, because technically a lower restaurant will pay you like $3.50. And the tip is supposed to make sure that at minimum, you're making minimum wage, right? If not, the employer must pay you the amount that's missing. I don't think people realize that, right? So you got to claim tips to make sure that the employer is being in compliance of paying you at least minimum wage. Okay? So just think about that, food for thought. So I want to say something else in reference to why, your refund if you're going to owe. Let's say you have a job, okay? And I know one person, I want to thank you so much for saying biz, but let's say you are a W 2 and your job pays you $100. Well, because of the scale of the income, $100 is not a big number. Not a lot of taxes are going to come out. But then the same employer writes you a check for $1,000 and much more taxes come in because the gross is higher, right? So sometimes people like to run themselves a whole bunch of little checks every week, a little check, and at the end of the year they owe, because if they had processed that larger check, there would have been a larger estimate amount of taxes coming out. Make sense? So therefore that impacts your refund. So if you're looking for a refund, if you're one of those individuals that use a refund as a non-interest bearing savings account because you're not making any money with them holding on to your money, okay, then that way you could do a big purchase or you want to do an investment or whatever the case is. That's your savings. And, my desire for you really is to put that refund away towards your retirement of tomorrow. Sadly, people are looking at refunds as taking a trip, buying a car. I never really hear saying of paying debt down. I very, very rarely in my years, I've been in accounting 40 years, and I don't really hear people saying of getting a refund to pay their debt. Okay, they say they want to do it to buy something, which is okay, and no judgment. It's okay, but it's just to be mindful that it's redirecting your relationship with money. Now, if you are a good balancer, then you can do a mid-year forecast or a forecast. Now, let's say if you project yourself getting a refund, you could go and change. I told you it's not the exact, but you still put it in. You could go and change your exemption. And you could say, wow, I'm going to get a refund. I don't want to pay any more into the system. This refund is good enough for me. You do, marry 10, single 10, right? Because you don't want taxes coming out, because you've already done a projection and saw that you've paid your fair share, what is required for you as a taxpayer, right? Or you might find out that you owe. So then you might want to go and do single zero with an extra $200 to pay. Why? Because you want to break even at the end of the year. And technically, if you owe, that amount is supposed to be paid by April 15th. And if you don't, you get a late payment penalty. All right, let me say this. When I started my business, I didn't even have a dollar bill to buy a bottle of water, okay? I had to really manage my money to have enough gas to go back and forth from my office or a potential client and get back home. But it doesn't make sense to put things in a way for you to have a bill. If you owe, that means that money was coming in. You should have been putting a little savings. And yes, I know life happens. I get it. I've had the same situation. But you're going to owe it anyway. You're going to owe it anyway. And why give the government more money than you have to? Because the penalty is not deductible. It's just throwing money out. I personally do not like paying late filing penalty, interest at all, to be honest, because I figured I'm just giving you my money. And why do credit cards and all these things give you these options? Because you're going to wind up paying double, triple what you owe. But if you could plan, and this is the difference of having, a professional to help you to say, how do I get on the right track? Now, the challenge is financial education, awareness is not something that people want to pay for. People just like, why should I pay for that? It's not making me money. But if you think about it, it's helping you safeguard and manage your money. You know, a lot of people go into financial advisors and they try to use financial advisors who's investing their money thinking they're the ones to help them with the parties of my job. And it's two different things. So when people come to me and tell me my financial advisor is taking care of that, I go, oh God, here goes another person outside of his lane doing something that he or she shouldn't be doing because they want to retain, they're getting a commission of all the monies that you have invested. So today, I just wanted to really go into how do you know if you're going to get a refund. We did a quick calculation. If you need more in depth, you could just inbox me and ask me your questions. Let me see if there's any inbox questions because sometimes people on the live will put a question in my inbox. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. I wanted to see if there was anybody who put a question. But if you do have a question, just inbox me of saying, okay, could you go over it? Or if you want your jump on Facebook at 1:15, I'm going to go into the same discussion, might go a little bit more. We have a different group out there on Facebook that kind of, we're going to believe they engage. I love you being here, but I love when people engage as well because it kind of helps me make sure that you're getting what you need and what I want to offer, you know. And the takeaway is to know that there is a process, there is a rule that's held for us to follow and for you to follow. And if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And normally you don't hear of these mistakes that people make on your return until 3 years because the tax return is 3 years in the rear. Okay? So why subject yourself to those penalties? And if you say, how do I stop the bleeding? I owed every year. Well, the government says if you owe 3 consecutive years, here goes another penalty because they say, you know, you owed, you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And they ding you again. To me, throwing money out the window. And the goal is to generate enough income that's going to allow you to sustain yourself today, but think of tomorrow. And we are in a time that people are not thinking of tomorrow. And I'm here to say we must, especially as business owners, that we are the one investing into our future. And even if we are with a W-2 and if we are check to check, we need to find a way, thank you for joining, to find a way for us to extend that. And I know it's challenging. I know that we don't always have enough to cover everything, but then that goes into the gold of financial planning, of budgeting, and deciding what makes sense, your lifestyle. All these things come into play. So it impacts it with your refund. Do you want your money now, or do you want to wait till April based upon what's your relationship with money? You know, are you able to get more money in your pocket and not spend it? Or are you needing to let the government hold your money tax free with no interest bearing money and getting it at, you know, April 15th? So which one are you? You want now or later? Write in the comments, now or later. Do you want your money now or later? You want your refund now or later? What are you, a now person or a later person? Now or later? Now or later? Are you looking for a refund now or are you looking for a refund later? Do you want your money every paycheck? So when I say now, is it every paycheck? Or are you looking for your refund later? Now or later? So does anybody have any comments? I mean, if you like the content that we're sharing, tap the screen, give me some hearts. I appreciate you staying with me today. Tap the screen, give me a tap, 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 tap. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the likes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the like. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap helps us to go through our rating. This is why I separated. We were on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram at the same time, and we were told to split it up for now and try to get people to tap, tap, tap for TikTok to grow and for it to be able to go into the live stream for the FYP people. And then at 1:15, we're going to go live on Facebook. And usually it's the same topic unless someone says to me, hey, ask me a question and I want to go into that. So if you have any questions, you could inbox me. I'm checking my inbox right now. Okay. Oh, I got a question. Okay, so the question is, I'm in healthcare, private. I don't have an LLC. What should I do? So that's kind of hard because I'm not sure what do you mean by that. Because when you say in healthcare, you're a CNA or you're a nurse, because my answer would be a little different. Uh, can you put that in the inbox? Are you a CNA or a nurse? Or do you have a home health care agency, which you would have to be a registered business for that? But so hold on, I'm looking to see if you put an answer. So if you're doing as a Schedule C, as a sole proprietor, okay, it's okay because it's still a business. It's still entitled you to get a PPP when that happened. That's the first time in my 40 years I've ever seen something like that. But because this was a crisis, I see you typing right now. So we'll be able to answer, and we do have enough time to answer this question. But I want to see what you say. Okay. So, W-2 business, whatever type of business, while we're typing that in, it says, I don't have an LLC. So let's think about what's going on, right? I always tell people, if you're not really sure that you want to really build your business, right? Or do you know if you want to commit? All right, I want to see. Okay. 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 All right. So, I'm gonna assume this is similar to uh, a CNA. So, if you are going, if oh, okay. So then, as a 1099, correct? So tap tap tap. If 1099, give me some heart. If it's that, then you definitely need to do some forecasting. So if this was all 1099, then you're gonna have to buckle up, and there's gonna be a liability. However, there are deductions. Okay, so if you are traveling, I don't know if you're going to multiple facilities and so there's certain things that you have to do. Okay, um, if you have to go to different facilities, there's certain things that you could pick up. There's a lot that you could pick up, so you could bring that number down. Now, of course, I am not one to tell people, let me be careful how I say this. I will go into reasonable direct deductions. There are people out there who say, we're going to write off everything, everything. Okay? And there's a question from the government to us that says, were the deductions reasonable and seem reasonable based upon the industry and this individual, right? So in the background, we're supposed to answer these type of questions. However, when you get people who do that and reduce it because people go, oh my God, I don't want to owe, and so forth, then you try to go buy a house. Then you try to go buy a car. And you'll say, I made X amount of money, okay? Why can't I qualify for this house? That's because you took all these deductions and maybe some kitchen sink deductions that was not even applicable to your business. Now, if this is something that you're going to continuously do and the type of business, my preference, it wouldn't be a LLC, okay? It would be a corporation. Why? Because let's say you go in the facility, okay, and not saying that you want it, and you drop somebody, and they decide to want to come for you. As I had shared in another live, LLC Schedule Cs are touching the 1040. So see, so I like to explain it that way. When you have an LLC, depending on the risk exposure of the business, it is touching you. That means somebody could touch you if something happens. Of course, we don't want to think about that, but it's the risk assessment. When you have a separate corporate, it is like this. So for them to touch you, they got to go through this one before they come and touch you here. Okay? So it's all about the risk exposure. But then there comes other things with it. If you register as a corporation, you have to put yourself on payroll. And some people don't want to do that because at the end of the year, they feel like, wow, I'm paying for payroll. I just want to pay estimates, and they don't pay estimates. It depends. If I have a client, I like to max out at 100,000 to put you on payroll, right? But I have a client that has the worst relationship with money. She get it, she spend it. So people who could listen, what I'll do is I have them make installments. If let's say they net 100,000 for their check, and then the company made, let's say, another 200,000. So you're going to pay taxes on that 200,000, right? Well, she's not good at that. So she rather pay herself 150,000 on payroll so she can be close that she's paid into the system. But what happened? She's paying a little bit more taxes than she has to, in a sense, as an employer, whereas if she had just did an estimate. So she could save a little bit of money. But then, again, because of her relationship with money and that she's not diligent to doing what she needs to get done, she will not, it's best to make her do it that way. Make sense? So, but definitely if you want to have an offline discussion about that, we can. Let me type in my office number for you. And 9. All of a sudden, I'm having a brain fart. Yeah. I put in our office number you could call, and I appreciate you for joining. And I'll go a little bit more into this, and I'll go a little bit more about the deductions that we take on Facebook. I appreciate the question, and I appreciate you joining, and hopefully you could leave me a comment. Overall, like, follow, share. There's a lot of informative videos that I have out there, and sometimes I make the videos based on questions like this. So I'll make a video of to be or not to be a business, a registered business, okay? And then I could put something out there as well. My pleasure. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go set up to go get on Facebook for 1:15. I invite you to come, like, share, comment, favorite our videos. That helps us with the ranking so more people could come in. But we go live every other Wednesday now on TikTok from 12 to almost 1 o'clock, and then 1:15 to 2 or 2:15 on Facebook, depending on if we get people to ask any questions. So I thank you so much. Have a great day, and I look forward to speaking with you. Join me on Facebook, and then I'll go a little bit more into